Hello, everybody. My name is James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And when Neil and Tom joined me on COTC early in the season, they promised me one thing: goals. And we got them. So we thought we'd do it again. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Bournemouth correspondent. It's Neil Grover. How are you, Neil?
Doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Good stuff, mate. And our Brentford correspondent, Tom Meds in. Hey, Tom.
Good mate, not bad. Looking forward to running this one back.
Yeah, good. I suppose, Tom, you'd take the same result again, would you?
Absolutely. Yeah, give me that straight away. That'd be great.
Good stuff. Neil, should we expect goals again?
I think we should. Yeah, we've just been scoring for fun really since then. There's been a little bit of a dip, but we're still scoring at a fair lick, and now we've got Evanilson back. So I think that long may the goals continue. That's just how we're set up, right? We're gonna concede and score at both ends.
And Tom, does it feel the same? Like this should have goals in it again?
Yeah, probably. More than likely. Seems to be the case, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I, I suppose if there was a game this weekend, you went, oh, that'll be 3-3. This almost feels like the most likely. It feels like so. Certainly, plenty of attacking assets from both sides to have a discussion about. But firstly, Neil, how much are you allowing yourself to dream at the moment? FA Cup quarter final against Manchester City, the toughest draw, I guess, on paper, but you've already beaten them once this season, and obviously very much in contention for a Champions League place. How much are you allowing yourself to dream at this stage?
I feel like we've had a little bit of a semi-reality check, for want of a better term, the past few games, where we've perhaps not picked up as many points as we'd have liked over the last few games. I think that's fair to say, albeit with somewhat extenuating circumstances of for the first time in the season, we didn't have our two main centre backs. Obviously, he's now back, so hopefully that will turn that around. But yeah, I mean, we're at the business end of the season, right? And anything we've given ourselves the chance of continuing to play meaningful games that are not trying to keep us up at this point in the season, and that's a wonderful point for it. I just really want a trip to Wembley as well. That's not for not playing you guys in the league. I think it's just us and Ipswich in the Premier League that haven't been to the new Wembley.
Okay, Ipswich won't be going now. You might well be. What was your reaction when you got City being just one game away? Because obviously semi-final will be at Wembley.
To be honest, and my initial reaction was, "Oh, that's not who we wanted." But then once I considered it, if you're going to win a cup, you're probably going to have to go through City or Liverpool at some point. If I'm going to play them, I want to play them at Dean Court. You know that's the ultimate thing. They again, without putting too much of the knockers on it, they look still very beatable. Um, I think we've got every chance of getting a result there, and I think there'll be 91 clubs in the football league that are supporting us on that day.
Yeah, who's the one that wouldn't?
City fans.
Okay, you think Portsmouth fans and Southampton fans want Bournemouth to win, do they?
I think they don't want City to win.
Okay, that's interesting. That so even though you're doing well, there's still no real animosity, no?
I think that there is, but I think like if you're a real football fan, like this is an opportunity to get a new or at least a name that hasn't been on the trophy for 50 years, right? On that and sort of
Yeah. I don't
so
know. I refer it to a little bit like Wales in the Euros in 2016. It's like, oh, that's nice. They're doing great. You hit the semi-finals, and yeah, that's enough now. Like, don't actually go and win it. I suspect it might be a little bit like that, Neil. You are more likely to beat City in a quarter-final than you are in a final, mate.
oh,
I think
absolutely.
your big game experience and all that kind of thing that goes
Yeah,
with it.
absolutely. Because the fact remains that I'd have to look at exactly how many of our team have ever played at that sort of like in a cup final or something, but I bet it's one or two. A Kepa, that's probably about it off the top of my head. So yeah, we don't have that experience, and frankly, why would we have that experience in our squad? But look, the way we're playing this season, like why not us, right?
They can do it, can't they, Tom?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Oh,
It'll be great. It'll be,
he's definitely part of the 91. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's yeah, like it's what Neil said. Really, you'd love to see someone on the trophy this year that's not. I think it gives you, like me being a Brentford fan, obviously it gives clubs like us hope that someone else can do it apart from the boring. Oh, Liverpool's won it again, City's won it again. One of the traditional, let's say, big six, but I don't know how many it is now. But someone else, a chance that there is the possibility you go to Wembley and get a chance of winning a cup.
That's it. Yeah, it's the Leicester League title, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The everyone has got the chance, and yeah, if it's someone like you this year, Neil, a reminder that yeah, do you know what? It's 6 games to win a cup competition. Anyone can do it ultimately at the end of the day. I'm going to ask you the ultimate question, Neil, because you know that someone will ask it at some point. So go on, pick one. Champions League football next year or FA Cup triumph, but you can only have one, and then you're shipped for eternity afterwards. Which one?
FA Cup.
I'm not surprised by that answer.
FA Cup. That for me would that would be like just the epitome. I would really struggle to see as a club how we would better that. Like being, I mean, it sounds silly to say because even an FA Cup feels unrealistic to us to a degree, but I think given where we've come from, League Two to winning an FA Cup in 15 years that would be just something ridiculous, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're not going
Tom,
to win the Champions League.
I don't know. It's a meteoric rise, mate. Tom, Brentford still in competition for qualifying for Europe or not?
I mean, I'm never gonna say never at this point, but I think the Villa result on the weekend, I think if we won that, then it'd put us still in a good place of like, where we'd only be, I think, 4 points off of sort of that eighth place, and now I think we're seven away. And with our running, it makes it look a little bit more difficult. I mean, you know, we're not awful against the big teams, so there's always a chance. But if you look at the other teams above us run-ins, where they already are, and obviously they got points on the board, it does make it look quite tough now.
How do you evaluate this season? Good, bad, ordinary?
Yeah, pretty good. I think good. It's been again one of those seasons for us where we've just had just a lot of injuries in key places. One comes in, another goes out. We're expecting players back, they just never seem to have materialized. Yeah, Rico Henry, I think, has been in the fringes of coming back into the first team for about the last 6 months. So still waiting for him to get back on the pitch. And so good and good from what happened last season. I think it's a good build from where we were last season. Can't be unhappy.
Yeah. Do we make anything of this recent home and away flip of results?
No,
Is it just as logical
exactly what
as
we.
you played all the shit at
Yeah,
home in the first half of the season? Now
it's
you're
exactly what
playing
we said.
all the strong sides at home, and now I think you're seven without a win at home, and now like six unbeaten away. It's completely turned.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we said. I think last time we had this pod, actually, it was like, well, now we've played all the um rubbish at home, let's say, and we've played all the good teams away. We're now playing all the good teams at home and all of the rubbish away. So, um, in I guess in a sense, but yeah, the teams that are currently below us, I think we've beaten most of them at home, and we've beaten most of them away, I think, so far. And then the ones above us, we've lost to most of them at home and lost to most of them away. So, yeah.
We're definitely not calling you rubbish here, by the way, Neil. Just for clarity, because obviously
Hey,
Brentford travelled to you at the
he's one of
weekend.
the teams above us, so it's fine.
Yeah, but you played him at home in the first half of the season. You beat him, and you've also played. I think we were more equating it as like the size of the club, with all due respect, Neil. Like you've just played my team at home, Tom, and I shit my shoe because you lost to us.
Oh, well, let's not talk about that game, but yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not sure what's happened this season. It's been a bit of a weird one. It seems that at the start of the season we had all the attack was there and flourishing and flying, and now it seems that if you look at our bench and who can come on to replace players up front, they've all seemed to have disappeared, and we've got 18-year-olds on the bench who are sort of our replacement strikers and things like that. So yeah, weird one. I don't think there's anything more in it that we've played sort of the bigger teams um, away from home at the start of the season, and then it's just swapped as we've gone towards later in the season.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been some good results recently. I think you underwhelmed a bit at the weekend, and probably drawing with Everton a disappointment, i.e., across the
Yeah.
last two home games. It must be said, Villa's away record's not been great this season. But
Yeah.
before that, many of us would have watched you absolutely destroy Leicester at the King
Yeah.
Power. Admittedly, that was a bad night, but it was a good, very credible win at West Ham away before that as
Mhm.
well. So I wouldn't, you're not like out of form particularly, I don't think.
Oh no, I mean, you've obviously spoken about it already, but the result on the weekend could have definitely gone the other way with a competent referee in the middle. We obviously don't talk about refereeing performances on the
We
pod,
never talk
but
about it when Neil's on the
no.
podcast because it will never end.
Um, but yeah, that could have gone. I mean, that could have gone either way. It means I thought it was pretty poor from both teams from an offensive point of view. I mean, it was a deflected goal from Villa, and yeah, we didn't really create anything on our side. And the Everton game was several offside goals by Yoane Wissa. So yeah, it's. I think it's just not quite rubbing the right way at the moment for the last couple of games. But yeah, before that's been fine. It's been rolling along nicely, but nothing spectacular. So I think that's the most optimistic way to put it.
Fair. Danger here that you're on the beach then, maybe.
No, because I think Frank it will roll along, and then Frank will give him a good kick in. I don't think he's one of those managers that likes to see that. And I don't think over the last few seasons when we watched them, I don't think we've ever seen the sort of on the beach mentality from them. I don't think. I mean, I don't think we really see it at all in the Premier League anymore. It gets maybe the sort of the last couple of games when there literally is nothing to play for. But I think at this stage, with still 10 games to go, there's I think there's still and the very slight outside chance that we could qualify for something. I don't think he'll be quite on the beach.
Yeah, the only thing is, as you kind of alluded to, the fixtures now aren't great. What's in
Hmm.
front of you? Bournemouth and Newcastle, the next two in the league away. Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Brighton at home, Forest away. Then I would suggest you may have the best final four of the lot actually in the run in. And we spoke previously about really wanting to target your players at the end of the season, but this is a challenging run coming up.
Yeah. Uh, but I think there's games in there. So I mean, we've already beaten Newcastle this season, obviously Bournemouth as well. Um, we got Chelsea. Are we playing Stamford Bridge? I know we've already played at Stamford
And
Bridge
it's
this year,
at
haven't we?
home. You actually lost at
Damn it! I
Chelsea
know
very
we
rarely
finally
this
lost to
year.
Chelsea. I know
Yeah.
that was quite sad. So I'm sure we'll get some revenge at them at home this year. And then yeah, and obviously, I mean, you've got an Arsenal team which aren't in form at the moment. So they're tough games, obviously. Um, but there's the games that we could get results in. They're not like sort of. I think if you sat there and said, oh, we've got Liverpool in the next game, I think Newcastle at home is going to be. Sorry, Newcastle away is going to be a killer because. But I mean, they're now injuries. Gordon Hall is. I think that their fixture they look difficult on paper, but I think there's potential that we could get some points in them as well.
And you're capable, I guess, to take it onto the fantasy question. Obviously,
Mm.
no one's going to be selling the Brentford assets this week during the blank. But I guess maybe rolling into 30, and then there's going to be a number of people might even wildcard across 30, 31. Does it feel like ditch Brentford assets over that little run and then come back to it later? Or are you of a mindset just hold all the way through till the end now?
I think it depends on who really. So I mean, we saw what happened for yourself and obviously a lot of people that sold Bryan Mbeumo early in the season. That
Yeah,
went
yeah, yeah,
horribly,
yeah,
horribly wrong.
yeah, yeah.
But there's players I think which are expendable. So I mean, like your Vissas, there's obviously very good strike options at the moment. Defensively, we have looked better, but you know, can you come back to them? Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to be, unless you're going to stick them on the bench for several weeks, which I guess you can do, but you may as well sort of swap and because it's such a set amount of fixtures that aren't great that you sort of could go away and then come back later on.
Mm. What free Brentford you got at the moment?
I've only got one at the moment.
Yeah, bullshit. Stop lying.
No,
What free
actually, I've only got
Brentford have you
one.
got?
No, only one. I've literally only
Okay.
got Bryan. I think
Okay.
it's the first time ever. Flecken got injured, and so I had to get rid of him, although he wasn't actually injured a while back. And Wissa went out for went out for Cunha,
Okay.
which went very well.
Yeah, not so much, mate. I have you still got Cunha or have you already moved that somewhere else?
Yeah, he became Marmouche.
Okay, right. Marmoush staying this week or is he going to become Vista this week?
No, I think he'll stay for this week.
Till you get that dodgy league line up at
Yeah, exactly right.
1:27 p.m. on
And then maybe
Saturday.
you will.
Neil, last time we spoke, you were somewhat pleased but sad because if I recall correctly, you'd sold Justin Kluivert for Dango Ouattara, and this was a recording with Mark Southerns just after you'd won 4-1 at Newcastle when Justin Kluivert had got a hat trick. We somewhat Mickey took out of you, only for Ouattara then to get a hat trick against Forest at the weekend. Well done,
Knew what I was
belatedly.
doing.
Yeah,
Clear,
of course you did.
definitely. There was always a plan, clear plan.
I mean, the right answer would have been to have both, Neil, in hindsight. What Bournemouth are you on at the moment?
I've still got Dango, and I have Kerkez in my team at the moment.
Okay. Tell me your thoughts then, because it's the opposite for you, whereas it's not just obviously attractive fixture this week, it's Switch at home 30 straight afterwards as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, Kerkez, I think, speaks for himself. I think he is in most player. If they haven't got him, he's probably in most people's at least thought process right now, as you said, with the fixtures, with that fantastic cross that I have seen from yesterday
Good
against
clearance,
Sugar.
I thought, actually.
Added 5 million onto his price in the summer, I'm sure.
I saw
But
loads of people tweeting yesterday, like Liverpool fans and stuff. I've added Kerkez to my list of left backs I wanted. Where have you been all season? My goodness, what a player he is.
yes, and I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, he won't be in a Bournemouth strip next year. But that's a discussion for the summer. My thought process with Dango is he's clearly going to have lost his place to Evanilson up front now. However, the way that we play, it really kind of doesn't matter if he comes on, like with 20 minutes to go. Like I believe last time I saw, I haven't got the up-to-date statistics, we had the most goals from subs in the goal involvements from subs. We're definitely up there in terms of goals after sort of 60 minutes as well. So there's every chance that he'll be involved. Evanilson certainly isn't playing 90 minutes at the moment. So Dango's the natural option there. He's someone that I think I will naturally move on, but it's not a fire that I'm looking at right now.
Okay, fine. So you got two Bournemouth. Have you got any Brentford at the moment, Neil?
Mbeumo.
So you got Mbeumo. You're obviously not doing anything with that this week.
I'm kind of like pot committed to him. I bought him at I think I've had him all the way through. I've got him at 7 million. So
Yeah, fine. No, totally understandable. Tom, any Bournemouth on
Yeah, I've
for
got
you at the
two.
moment?
More
Yeah.
Bournemouth than I have Brentford at the moment. So yeah, I've got
Okay,
Huijsen
blimey.
and I've got Kluivert.
Okay, so four across the two. So I guess where I was probably alluding to, Neil, is when I said what's in the plan. First and foremost, what's your chip plan for 29 first? Are you running through? Are you free hitting or
I've set up. I was just having a look at this while you were talking at the end there. I've got 11 for next week without having to do anything. So I don't need to free hit, and actually looking at it, it's pretty. I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I
fucking
might
show
look.
off?
Told you I have a plan.
Jesus, I feel so far behind everything this year, and I don't know why. I don't feel like I've planned this very well.
It's 100%. It's 90% luck, 10% skill. I assure you. But
Okay.
yeah. So but I do think my Bournemouth thinking is to move from Dango to Kluivert. Is kind of the answer I guess you're looking for.
Or is it just add Kluivert now and then Ouattara to something else
Yeah.
in 30 if he's not got his place back or something? I'm just thinking, would you be sick if you moved Ouattara on and, I don't know, heaven forbid, but Evanilson broke back down again or something?
Mhm.
You'd be delighted to still have Ouattara for Ipswich at home, wouldn't you?
But I've got enough transfers that my situation I could move back if that happened. But yeah, I mean, certainly as I said, Dango is not a problem unless you've got absolutely no problems in your team and he's sat there and you feel like making a change, then maybe. But he really shouldn't be a fire in anyone's team right now.
So I guess ultimately you would move Ouattara to Kluivert at this stage.
Yeah, I think so. If you've got it's less of an issue this year, obviously with so many transfers. But if you're gonna burn a transfer and you want to make a move, fine, right? Like
Yeah.
Kluivert will get you more problem over the next couple of games, I think.
Can you foresee in the week of the Ipswich game? Obviously, it's City Cup quarter final Sunday.
Hmm.
You can't rule out the prospect of it going to extra time. Certainly not. Then you've got Ipswich on the Wednesday, and then West Ham away on the Saturday. Like we could see some rotation in there as well, couldn't we?
Yeah,
Where that gets Ouattara some minutes back as well.
I think that certainly is a possibility, particularly when you consider players like Tavernier um, are coming back from injury. Christie is nursing something from what we've heard as well. So all of those players are going to see some minutes. They're 100% going to. Evanilson, I think they're going to really be careful with his minutes as well. Coming back from a broken foot, he's not going to play 90 minutes all the way through there.
No, but that's whatever the strongest team is, he's going to play against City in that quarter final, isn't it?
100%, 100%, and that will
Yeah,
be Evanilson will be in that.
yeah. It's just worth factoring in that something might happen that day, and it's like if you play 120 minutes, it might feel like yeah, Ouattara probably will play against Ipswich under
Yeah,
that
and
sort of circumstance.
exactly, and this is why without wanting to repeat myself too much, like if you've got the only reason to move on from Dango right now is if you've got nothing else that needs to sort. Like
Yeah,
that's the
I
only.
think for most people running through, they'll take the 1 pointer on whatever it is on
Mm,
top this week rather than take a hit to move it on, and then see how it sits when you get to game week 30, I guess, rather than cut it off.
yeah.
Tom, what's your thinking on the two Bournemouth you've got? Kluivert, does that feel like you've got the best one at the moment?
Yeah, I'm like really happy with how he's done. I mean, just ticks along, and then the fact he's on penalties as well. I know Bournemouth never get penalties, but hopefully there'll be another
Oh
one
wow, that was a
coming soon.
really dumb thing to say ahead of just playing them, mate.
No. Oh
And
yeah,
hold up,
no.
Kluivert's got a hat trick of penalties already this season.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
know,
man.
but well, I'm going from last season's penalty-less, well, ages, wasn't it? But no, I'm happy with Kluivert and Huijsen. I got him when he was super cheap, so it's sort of there's no need for me to move him on. And he plays, and yeah, that's perfect really for me. So it'd be nice to I think it'd probably be nice to have Kerkez, but there's no need for me to move him on at the moment.
No. Are you running through this week as well? Or are you free hitting
Yeah, I'm
or
on 10 with no goalkeeper at the moment, so whether I use the transfer to bring a goalkeeper in or not.
Flecken?
But yeah, I mean, no.
You're normally one stick up for him, Tom.
I mean, no. To be fair, he won Player of the Month like Brentford Player of the Month last month. He's been excellent. I think in my opinion, he's getting better and better. Conceded a deflected goal against Villa, but other than that, was pretty solid. And yeah, there's no issues with him. It's just obviously you mentioned the run of fixtures. There's surely someone else you can pick at the moment, um, which you can have that'll fill that void.
Okay. Go on then, Neil. Sell him Kepa.
Yeah,
Or
I
is he
mean,
or is he in the bad books?
no. Look, he's made one or two errors. I think two penalty errors. One against yourselves, one against Brighton. That have were suboptimal, but I still think he's a fantastic option. Certainly, I hope that we look seriously at buying him in the summer. So that just says where my head is with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I presume he would be available if you want him because I don't think it doesn't sound like there's any sign that Chelsea have any regrets,
No.
despite their own potential problems in that position at the moment. Yeah, Tom, I keep shouting Kepa as an option. Have you still got the wild card in hand as well?
Yeah, I do. Hmm.
When are you planning to use that out of interest?
Probably 31, I think.
Okay, so quite soon. So I mean, look,
Yeah,
Kepa, you are home to yourselves, and that's a little bit conflicting because you've got obviously Mbeumo, but yeah, Brentford at home, Ipswich at home. As a combination, if you're just looking just for the 2 weeks,
yeah,
it's probably what Kepa, Sells, maybe Jose Sarr.
just that 2 week point of don't know who to go. I've not really looked at it like who you could bring in. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Kepa probably isn't bad, but then to be fair, but then I, we've just said obviously we think the game's gonna have goals. So is it
True,
is it worth bringing in Kepa for this week or bringing someone
true.
get someone else?
I guess with that in mind, I mean, I would say your defensive assets probably Tom doesn't feel right to invest in just generally anyway, not just for this
No.
week, even for free hitters, but the fixtures afterwards. That's a leave at loan at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, there isn't I mean, the only person you could even consider being consistent in that back four is going to be Nathan Collins, and yeah, I just don't see why you'd go there.
Yeah, I think that those who are running through and shorter players and have the likes of Collins, it will be what it will be this week. But
Oh yeah,
I don't
sure.
see anyone wanting to add to that. And I guess it's a similar with Sepp van den Berg. For those who've got him as like a kind of a fifth defender, can you give them any hope for minutes at the weekend? It does sound like he might be available.
About to say, it sounds like he's getting close to being back because I know it was only a very minor injury. But then, to be honest, I think the first choice pairing on the back was going to be Pinnock and Collins anyway. And then Vandenberg was being used more at the right back at the start of the season. Obviously, Chris is back in at right back at the moment, and so there's no need to rush him back either. So the back four was, I thought, pretty good against Villa on the weekend. So I can't see if he comes in, he'll be on the bench. He's not going to come straight back into the first team. It might be that towards the end of the season he starts to get more minutes because I think in the future going forward he's going to be an important player for us. But I also see that as well. Let's not rush him back from injury because there's no need for him at the moment.
Yeah, and also I think for added context as well, to bring a player back into a team, Bournemouth might be the worst opponent you could have under that
Yeah,
circumstance because
it
Neil,
wouldn't be a
honestly,
good one.
mate, the incessant pressing is quite incredible. I said on Monday's podcast again, you're the best team in terms of your pressing at the top end, and the statistics are kind of borne fruit of that for the majority of the season as well. It is wild how aggressive it is and how they sustain the fitness during the course of the game. Because I'm sitting there in the first half yesterday and I'm thinking, I'll tell you what, last half hour these might run out of puff. Now I know what happened, but the end of the game might make it feel that way. That wasn't what happened.
No,
The quality of the pressing is outstanding, Neil. So to bring someone like Vandenberg in and he's just going to be on it constantly, yeah, that doesn't feel right, Tom. Does it, Neil, though, considering what we said about expecting of goals again, does it almost feel wrong to buy a Kerkez this week with that in
um,
mind?
I
Or is it
wouldn't
just
say.
he's in off for the offensive stuff anyway?
Yeah, I think Kerkez is a perfectly legitimate fullback option that is going to contribute. We've seen him now. One of the things he's added this season is he's starting to tick over from a goals and assists point of view. So I mean, heck, just the past two games he's got two assists, right? Where we haven't got clean sheets, but he's ended up with 4 points, which, for a 5 million defender, fine, especially Brighton and Spurs away. Like you're laughing with that, right? So yeah, he's started to add that. He's very key to what we're doing and that press. I think he will also benefit from the not better's the wrong word, but the stronger players coming back and playing more with the likes of Tavernier on the left as well, rather than sort of it kind of rotating around and Brooks and Semenyo kind of doing a thing and not knowing who's gonna be sort of his partner on the left going each week. I do think he'll benefit from that. I do also think he'll benefit from having Evanilson back in the squad as well, as he can actually he can be an aerial threat as well as a ground threat. Not that Dango wasn't an aerial threat, as that guy can jump.
Yeah, and he had particularly proven with one of their headed
Yeah,
goals against Forest. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's my thought. I think he's a perfectly valid asset from an aggressive defensive point of view as well.
Okay. Zabani, I presume, will come back in the team this weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you expecting that to be for Hill, Cook, or is it neither? Is there a chance it's neither? And
I
say an
don't know.
Adams came out or a Christie if he's not
No,
100%?
what I suspect, yeah, I think it's Christie. The Christie will be one of the players to keep an eye on. I think what will happen is the logical back four will be Kerkez, Zabani, and Huijsen back at centre back, and then you move Hill to right back. Then that would allow you to have in centre midfield Cook and Adams to kind of just lessen some of that game time again for Christie. If Christie's good to go though, then that's a decision that I don't envy Andoni on. Out of who do you pick out of Cook, Christie, and Adams in the centre? Because all three have got their own merits.
Okay. There'll be a few people trying to squeeze almost like blood out of a stone financially to try and force Haaland in this week. Does James Hill come under consideration here, 3.9 then? And I mean, just particularly sort of again for those thinking sort of wild card in like Tom's time, sort of like
Mm.
31, and you go, "God, if I can get 3.9 defender and get the two games out of it, and they're good fixtures."
Yeah, I think he has every chance of playing. Like whenever I've seen him play, he's not looked, he's not looked out of place at all.
He was fine
He
yes on Sunday, mate.
he
Fine.
can play perfectly well on right back as well. Right back as well. I forget which game it was that he played there, but he played sort of a string in that more difficult run of fixtures before he himself got injured, and he was absolutely fine. So, yeah, I think that's the logical thing is you move him back to right back. Zabani comes in into the centre with Huijsen, and then it gives you the option to. Uh, Manage Christie's minutes a little bit, which I think will be really key. I know you're a big proponent of how huge he is for us.
Yeah, very much so. I was disappointed to see him on the team sheet on Sunday, mate. I just think he carries himself very well. I think the blend of him and Adams is really good, and Lewis Cook is a player that we would admire anyway for slightly different reasons. I think Christie really makes you tick. I think he
Yeah.
he runs the tempo of the game. He'll slow it for you, and he also knows how to fire it quickly into the four quick guys in front as well. It's an important player, but clearly not 100%. Iriola basically said last week he's going to have an operation in the summer.
Hmm.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the situation with Adam Wharton at Palace, where they kept putting it off, and I don't think it did him good. Feels like Adam Wharton's missed the majority of this season because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little concerned for him that it might be similar. But I also get, as a club, you're in a unique situation. Does he look at it as someone who's been, I mean, he's been with you for a while now, hasn't he? Is it 4 or 5
Yeah,
years or so?
we bought him in the championship.
There you go,
So
right.
so
And,
yeah.
and someone who might be looking at it and thinking, well, if I have the operation now and I miss the rest of the season and I miss out on this potential run for top five and a potential run to an FA Cup final, I can understand why the player would want to put that off as well.
Yeah. Especially as you say, when the carrot of there is a chain of events where Lewis Cook is lifting the FA Cup, um, you're gonna want to you're gonna want to play as a player, any professional athlete, you're gonna want to try and push through there, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It almost feels like we can pick the two teams
Hmm.
from the weekend. I think that's one we're not sure maybe who will play right back for you, Neil. But otherwise, we could pretty much pick the rest, can't we? Christie, we're not sure, as we've just covered.
Yeah.
But the front four now, it's the same, presumably, as what played at Tottenham.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, the only question, as you've said, is it does Cook play at right back or does he play for Christie? That's my thought process. That's the
Yeah.
only question mark. I know what I'd do.
And Tom, for you, same team that lost to Villa, probably?
More than likely, yeah, I can't see too many changes in that team.
Okay. Are we overlooking Mikkel Damsgaard as a potential asset here?
I think we have overlooked Mikkel Damsgaard. I think, well,
It's too late by
it's
the sounds of what you're about to say.
yeah. But the problem is, I think unless you really push your funds or you don't have them at the moment, you're going to go Mbeumo, and then it's like, well, do you want double Brentford midfielders? And even I'm debating whether, even I'm not sure about that. So if I'm debating that, then crikey, everyone else must be miles off that one. Just
If you
doesn't
were,
seem doesn't seem right.
no, I understand.
He's been brilliant.
If you were to pick him or Kevin Schade at the same price, 5.1.
Kevin Schade, I think at the moment.
Okay, go on.
I think at the moment he seems to have found a good run of form. He's playing a lot of minutes, and he seems to have nailed down that left hand side for the time being. The he, there isn't any competition for him at the moment. Fabio Carvalho's just is out now with he's just had an operation on a shoulder, dislocated shoulder, so he's definitely out. So the only thing I can see is if Rico Henry does finally get back into the team where he is currently training, then it could be Keane Lewis Potter pushes further forward. But Kevin Charlie's looked good. I mean, he had a few good chances against Villa. He was getting in good positions. He was making good runs, and he's looking pretty good. So him and Keane Lewis Potter have struck up quite a good relationship down the left hand side. So Lewis Potter running past him and Charlie covering back. It's quite a nice little pairing they've got going at the moment. It seems to be working well. So I don't see him coming out of the team, and he does get in the right positions.
But ultimately, still the third best attacking asset from you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Could you have any love for Wissa over Evanilson on a free hit this week?
On a free hit this week,
Yeah.
um, the only thing I would say on it is you're probably going to get 90 minutes out of Wissa, whereas you probably, from what Neil said, I don't think you'll get 90 minutes out of Evanilson, but that's all really. Vissa's Wissa. He's been great this season. Class a U-turn from game week one, isn't it? From pre-season. But he's been excellent. He's getting in all the right positions. He's still playing really well. Yeah, he's been unlucky, I think, over the last few weeks. Had quite a few goals chalked off for offside. Um, but no, the only thing I can say, I guess, yeah, I think from a minutes point of view, he's got 90 minutes in the bag at the moment because he's not coming off for anybody.
No, I mean, just looking through his minutes, I mean, he's not played less than 70 since game week 8. I remember he'd just kind of come back off the bad injury he had at
Yeah.
Manchester City really early in the season. And actually, he's not played 90 minutes since game week 19.
We got no one else that can play up front at the moment, so he has to play.
Should that be a factor, Neil? If people are looking for a centre forward this week on free hit, it doesn't feel like people would go Evanilson and Wissa, but they might want
Mm.
to go with one or the other.
What I would say is just like even if we look at just a small sample size of since he came back, Evanilson has played 2 games, 60 minutes ish in both, and has scored twice. Like, what more can you ask for from that sort of player? He's certainly going to be our focal point, and look, we create enough chances routinely that he's got every chance of scoring within that 60 minutes. So it's kind of the same as with Dango. Like those chances don't stop. It's minute 1 to minute 90. So yeah, any striker in our team has got a good chance of scoring.
Okay. Talk to me about Semenyo, Neil. Feels like all I hear from owners, and I owned him for a little bit, is a kind of a deep-rooted frustration, I think. Mainly because I think people know what his capability is, and obviously the
Yeah.
shooting power he's got. He's got such a brilliant strike on him, but it always does feel like that power strike, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, he's always holding down the the B button or whatever it is in FIFA, right? But
Not the tackle button.
yeah. So yeah, I think it would be fair to say he's kind of been the disappointment, and this is inverted commas. I really don't think he has been recently, but I think he's been the biggest frustration of Bournemouth fans recently. And I think he missed a golden opportunity yesterday, from my understanding. As I said, I was watching it on SofaScore, unfortunately, but and he's missed a few chances. There's been a few where he's snatched at them a little bit. He's been in the right places. Obviously, he was offside as well, completely unnecessarily yesterday, for the goal
I,
that
I
was
think,
chalked
in
off.
fairness, he can't have expected what happened with
No, of
Tavernier
course,
and that to play out the way it did.
but again, it's just frustrating, right, as a fan that. But I've got every faith that he will come back round, but he's not the option at the moment. I think if you want to have, if you had to have one Bournemouth player, it's not Semenyo right now, right?
If you had to have a second,
I still think it's Kerkez right now, just again based on form.
okay, change that question. If you had to have a second attacking player,
My gut would say Evanilson, but it would be close.
okay, change that question again. If you had to have a third,
Then, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have 3 attacking options, then Semenyo would be in there.
but I guess what I was asking was, is he definitively a better option for this week than Tavernier?
Yes, purely based on 2 things. So, one, I think he's a 90-minute player, as we've said all season. He is also, again, joking aside, in the event that Kluivert comes off, because while his minutes are ramping up, if we get a penalty in the 80th minute, the person that will take it would be Semenyo. So
Not Evanilson.
I'm presuming Evanilson's off,
Oh, okay.
because in
Get
the
it. Yeah, I
80th
get
minute,
it.
Evanilson and
Yeah,
Kluivert are
I
likely
get it.
off, right? So in that situation, I think Semenyo is the person that would take it, although Dango has perhaps made a state to claim after his Wolves penalty.
Isn't Kluivert playing a bit too good to still be at this stage of thinking he'll come off early? And I know you got more players back, but he has just played the 90 minutes away to Tottenham and away to Brighton.
Yeah, I like him, and I think that I'm quite happy if he stays on for all of those minutes. But again, just like we going back to our point earlier, I do wonder if Andoni is going to have one eye on just some of this other stuff that's coming up. And if there are options around, so you've got Brooks, obviously we're potentially now going to have the nice problem to have of Adams, Christie, Cook that we're going to rotate as well. Like we're getting back to full strength, and that will allow more players to have little bits of rest here and there, which I think is going to be crucial for our running.
Okay. I don't think that's not going to matter this weekend, though, is it?
No, no,
There's nothing
it,
afterwards this weekend, right? So it's
no. You're right there. I think it's more. Look, if you've got Kluivert, there's absolutely no reason to be worried about that situation. It's purely if you're looking at, okay, I want to have three. How do I then decide that?
okay. Tom, are you intending to put Haaland in this week?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Neil, are you?
No, I'm probably not. As I said, I'm on 11. I need to have a look as we get closer and understand. There might be a few little bits that I want to tweak, but
Okay.
um,
Let's ask the interesting question then. Who's your bus captain this week, Tom?
Chris Wood.
Okay. Neil?
yeah, it is Wood currently, but there's really is part of me that's wondering if I can bring in someone like Kluivert for it.
Okay. Kluivert and Mbeumo are both going to be super owned going into this week. They are anyway. And I think just by kind of justification of saying we expect goals, I think it's perfectly reasonable to pick both players if you're on free hit this week.
Hmm.
And I think most will probably want to do that. Tom, firstly on Mbeumo, option this
Yeah.
week for the armband or not?
Yeah, to be honest, I hadn't even really thought about it. So,
Oh, that's you doing it now, isn't it?
no, I know. Yeah, no, no. Well, I've already done it once this year against bloody Salah, and then Salah went and equaled him. Um, yeah, maybe I would actually. Yeah, now you've put that seed in my head. I'm probably going to do it, aren't I? So I'm already doing terribly this year anyway, so I may as well carry it on.
Would Kluivert not be an option because you wouldn't want to do that to yourself?
No, definitely not. Yeah, I
Okay,
mean that would be the
fine.
only reason I think. It's if I took the bias out of it, then yeah, they obviously Bournemouth have been excellent. So yeah, it's not a bad option either.
Okay. I think we're probably in agreement that Cliver, and there has been moments of doubt and debate this year. It does feel like Neil, and again, we're talking about a 1 week sample here for potentially this weekend. It does now feel like Cliver is the standout one and
Hmm.
worth paying the extra for those who can do it.
Yeah,
Captain this week?
yeah. I think it's a genuine option. And there's going to be some games as well. I haven't looked at perhaps beyond, but like I mean, with all respect to Ipswich, you wouldn't feel too bad about even captaining him there, right? I mean, I know City go to Leicester and all of that, but if you fancied having a little tickle at someone outside of the other options,
I mean
you know,
that would feel braver than this weekend in a weird way because it would be 3 days after the City game, 3 days for the next one. If there was going to be
sure.
rotation, it looks like it's that one. And there's so many other good options in game week 30, including some like Salah who won't have played the weekend before.
Oh no, look, certainly I'm not saying he's the number one option, but I'm saying if there was someone that fancied taking someone on because they want to be aggressive, it's not an awful option, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'd probably go Isak against Brentford.
there we
Jokes, Tom. Jokes,
Come on,
jokes.
come on now, come on for a lovely podcast, and this is what I get.
go.
Jokes. You've already beat Newcastle this season, as you mentioned earlier, and also already beat Bournemouth. I think Cliver will pick up a bit of steam within the FPL community for people to put the armband on him.
Yeah.
I just think it feels a little bit more fun than would at Ipswich. I'm not saying it's right, but it feels a bit more
Yeah,
fun. Tom, you even smiled at that as well.
well, it's just I think I smiled at it because I think it's one of those for me where you just overlooking it's Wood versus Ipswich, and I've done it all year where I've just completely underestimated
Mm.
Forest. Like even this, like last weekend, I benched Milenkovic for Castagne against Brighton. It's like when you think about it, like it's so stupid. I'm benching the defender against the who's third in
Mhm.
or yeah, third in the league, and it's like Chris Wood scored so many goals against an Ipswich team who, with all due respect, have been pretty shit. So
Yeah, but I own Chris Wood now, so
oh,
Oh
okay, right.
no.
yeah, yeah.
And Mbeumo and Kluivert for captain then.
And I don't know why you two digging me out because I keep looking down at that mini league and I can't see either of you as it goes at the
Oh,
moment,
you got to
right?
scroll about 10 pages to
That's
me.
it,
So
right? Exactly, yeah. But interestingly, on a serious, the one thing I think we normally all agree on as football fans about Forest games at the moment is expectancy low scoring.
Mhm.
Now, Wood could do what he did at Everton, for example, goal, assist, beautiful return, fantastic, and they win 2-0, definitely foreseeable. He could also score the only goal and they win 1-0. But we do think probably not high scoring games, I think it's fair to say, even against an opponent like Ipswich. And yet, the three of us are sitting here saying the same thing that we said when the two teams met earlier in the season, expect goals. We had 5 last time. I don't think anyone would be surprised if it's a similar number again this weekend. And therefore, it could be 3-2, 4-1, something like that. Either way, Tom, before you think I'm digging you out, I'm not. I am going to back them to win, though. Spoiler. Neil, do you think you do it or not? Kluivert captain, yes or no?
I think I've talked myself into it now. I now just need to look at how do I make the money work. But I think I'm going to do it.
Okay. Good luck. Tom, you going Boomer?
yeah, I mean, I probably will just for the fun of it. Now we've talked about it, I think yeah, I think you're right. There will be goals in it, but I'm looking forward to Chris Wood hurting me again.
Okay.
Ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, it's happened too many times this season.
I suspect, Tom, another spoiler for you because I told you before we started, that Forest Brentford game later in the season might be very important. We'll talk Chris Wood Payne a bit more later then. Let's finish with predictions, gentlemen. Let's see how many goals we do think then. Neil,
I'm gonna go with 3-1 to us.
Tom,
Oh well, let's run back last time scoring 3-2 Brentford.
can you guys remember what you predicted last time?
I said 2-2, I believe, or 3-3, and then
I think
because
it was
you dug me out for not predicting us to win.
that does feel right, yeah, because that's also unusual, yeah. Not that I have anything wrong with your confidence, Tom. Love it, mate.
No, it's far too overconfident, but no positive. It's not confidence, it's positivity.
Okay. I think win nil. I do think there'll be goals. I can see it being sort of 2-1-ish. I should say. But I almost feel like that's on the side of caution, that prediction. Like I could see it being the reverse of the game earlier in the season, 3-2. I wouldn't be that surprised if it's 2-2. I think it's worth saying, Neil, if there's a disappointment, maybe it has been some of the more recent home results, right? And I know within there's like the 5-0 against Forest, but there are games like this that you've drawn already this season. I'm thinking like West Ham, Crystal Palace. This does feel like it can be in that category as well.
Yeah, I think at the moment, look, we just need a little. It feels like we're in a little bit of a point in the season where we just need a little bit of a luck or a catalyst to kind of really just fire us home again. Like we've had our little stumble now. Hopefully it's finished, but it may not be. But I'm hopeful that this game could be something that acts as somewhat a catalyst for us.
Okay. Good luck to you both, gents. Neil, anything you want to plug before we finish?
No, no, just you can follow me on Twitter. Anyone that doesn't,
AFCBNG
that's
and
the
Tom.
one.
Yeah, no, nothing. Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky now mainly actually, rather than the old Twitter, but
Still
dabbling
FPL
on
Dummy
both.
Tom, same
Still
handle.
a dummy, that's the one.
Good stuff. Gents, thank you both very much. Very best of luck this weekend and for the rest of the season. Clayton will be with me for the Clayton and James show tomorrow. I can tell you we will have 2 Clash of Correspondents in the build up for game week 30 as well. I don't know which order yet, but it will be Chelsea versus Tottenham with Gary Mantle and Ricky Saunders. Cannot wait for it. And also Brighton versus Aston Villa, who will both also have FA Cup quarterfinals to look forward to with Sam Murray and Lee Jackson, who's having an absolute storm of an FPL season, top 2K at the moment. Just seeking to say thanks very much to Neil and Tom. Good luck, gents. Cue music, please, man child.